And what about injuries?
Hi, Counsel, we're gonna take a break this time, all right?
All right. Jurors, close your notebook. Place them on the chairs free.
From an anguished breakdown to an icy courtroom non-look with her ex-husband, Lindsay Clancy's murder trial has been packed with gut-wrenching raw moments. The 36-year-old former labor and delivery nurse has spent nearly 4 weeks in Plymouth Superior Court listening as jurors hear in painstaking detail how her 3 children died and what was allegedly happening inside her mind in the months before she killed them. At times sitting almost emotionless in her wheelchair, and at others sobbing, shaking her head, or burying her face in her hands, Clancy has had several intense reactions throughout the proceedings. Here are 5 of the most harrowing moments from the blockbuster trial so far. The trial's most dramatic breakdown came during graphic medical examiner testimony describing the fatal injuries suffered by 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, and 8-month-old Callan. As Dr. Renee Stonebridge testified and Dr. Barbara Olson discussed Cora's autopsy, Clancy gripped defense attorney Kevin Reddington's hand and sobbed out uncontrollably before crying out, "I can't do it." Judge William Sullivan immediately halted proceedings for a recess as nurses and Reddington rushed to comfort her.
And what about injuries?
Hi, Counsel, we're gonna take a break this time, all right?
All right. Jurors, close your notebook. Place them on the chairs free. Miss Wayne.
A very different reaction unfolded when Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham questioned psychologist Dr. Paul Ziesel about Clancy's behavior at Tewksbury State Hospital. As prosecutors read medical notes showing Clancy participating in hospital activities on her children's birthdays and anniversaries, she shook her head repeatedly in disbelief. Closing her eyes and taking a deep breath, Clancy snatched a pen off the table, scribbled a note to Reddington, and tossed the pen down in apparent defiance.
December 24th, 2024, page 1442 of the Tewksbury records. Says the patient was visible on the unit utilizing her phone. Her parents were in to visit and they brought dinner with them. Patient accepted medications and fluids. Patient in good behavioral control, maintaining safety. No SIB noted or reported. What do you have reason to doubt that that's on page 1442 of the Tewksbury record?
I have no reason to doubt that that's not an accurate reflection of what took place that day.
And what's SIB?
Self-injurious behavior?
Another heavily watched moment came when Patrick Clancy entered the courtroom to testify, reportedly the first time Lindsay had seen him since the night their children died. She appeared to take a deep breath and pursed her lips as her former husband walked in. Body language expert Tracy Brown previously told the U.S. Sun that Lindsay appeared to show fear and sadness as she reacted to seeing him. But perhaps more striking was what happened after Patrick finished giving evidence. Patrick kept his head down as he quickly walked from the courtroom, while Lindsay's gaze remained fixed toward the table instead of following him. The pair did not appear to look at one another.
For our eyes, toss your notebooks, place them on your chairs. Over.
Clancy's composure had already collapsed days earlier when jurors heard Patrick's frantic 911 call from January 24, 2023. The 6-minute recording captured Patrick discovering his badly injured wife outside before rushing through the house searching for the children. Patrick had already left the courtroom by the time the recording was played. Clancy sat hunched over the defense table with her face buried in her hands and sobbed uncontrollably as she heard the call. Judge Sullivan called a recess and she was wheeled from the courtroom still crying loudly, with court remaining paused for roughly half an hour. Later that same day, Clancy was seen sobbing once again as Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham presented evidence to the court.
Thank you. Thank you.
Clancy's mother, Paula Musgrove, and sister, Allison Ozga, both took the stand for the defense to recount the dramatic deterioration in her mental health during late 2022. Ozga said her sister had become depressed, suffered worsening insomnia, and disclosed having suicidal thoughts. Musgrove later read aloud desperate messages her daughter had sent months before the deaths. Throughout the emotionally charged testimony, Clancy repeatedly lowered her head, withdrawn from what was unfolding around her.
Based on communication with Lindsay, and I started communicating with Pat directly at that time. She was reporting her mood was worsening, as she described as depression. She was having more suicidal thoughts. Insomnia continued to be an issue. She was really not feeling like herself.
Now, Your Honor, the government has introduced into evidence the entire of the phone dumps, if you will, and I think they put it on a disc, and it's probably thousands of pages. But I do have the text thread that deals with that time frame in October. I'd like to offer that so that it's apparent what I'm referring to, rather than having to search through thousands of pages of a disc.
No audition. Okay. Mom, will you please come up and stay with me for a bit? I'm really sick. Something is wrong. I had horrible insomnia all night, and I just don't know how I'm going to get through the day. I started taking the medicine my doctor prescribed for anxiety, and I think it's made things worse. It's just really scary, and I don't want to be alone.
These harrowing moments inside Plymouth Superior Court highlight the intense emotion surrounding the ongoing murder trial. With closing arguments taking place this week, the defense makes its final push to prove Lindsay Clancy was suffering from severe postpartum psychosis and not criminally responsible, leaving the jury to soon decide her fate.